Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back. It's Kabir here again. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about what rich people think and what poor people think. How mentalities are different between rich people and poor people. Have you ever noticed that a rich person really carries himself very differently from someone who's a poorer person? This is because it's all in the head. The human mind is so powerful, we can control so much. It's crazy what one person's mind, one person's thoughts can do for that individual and for society in general. So it's natural that people that attract more money are going to be thinking a little bit different from those who don't attract as much money. Now, the first thing about how the rich think and the rich think about money is how they think of assets versus liabilities. We've all heard this economic term growing up and learning through schools and colleges what assets are and what liabilities are. The difference is, however, that most people tend to categorize assets and liabilities different from the way they should be categorized. In Robert Kiyosaki's words, assets are anything that put money in your pocket, liabilities are something that take money out of your pocket. I'll repeat that. Assets are something that put money in your pocket. Liabilities are something that take money out of your pocket. Assets in, liabilities out. The problem is a lot of people don't see assets for assets and liabilities for liabilities. For example, people see something like a home. People see that the house that they're living in is an asset. They think of it as something that's going to appreciate over time, and that is the value of their house. It is something that they are living in, they're supporting their family and taking care of their children. These are not assets. Assets are something that put money in your pocket. It is not putting money in your pocket. It's giving you a place to live. Now, I'm not saying that liabilities are not required. Liabilities are a very important part of life as well. But a home is not an asset, it is a liability. And that is where most people get confused because they go and buy things like a home, buy things like a car, and they value all of these things as if they were assets. But really, what is it doing? According to Robert Kiyosaki, we just spoke about it. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. Assets put money into your pocket. Is your house putting money into your pocket? Is your car putting money into your pocket? Or are they taking money out of your pocket? I have a feeling they're taking money out of your pocket. That's not to say that a house or a car cannot actually be an asset. It's very simple to make a house or make a car into an asset. What you do is you buy multiple houses. So let's say you buy a 3-unit apartment and then you live in one of them. Now, this is still a house, but you are living in one of them and you are renting out the other two. Let's say that your mortgage payment is $1,500 and you are getting $1,000 each from both of the units that you are renting out, and you are living in one unit. You're getting in $2,000, you're paying out $1,500. You're making $500. That now makes that home from a liability to an asset. It's very important to understand how we can convert our liabilities into assets, because only once we're able to have more assets than liabilities are we going to get to a point where we can be financially free. Even your car, for example, your car can be an asset as well. The way a car can be an asset is not when you choose to drive it to work and when you use it for your leisure. Your car will only become an asset once you rent it out on something like Turo, or if you hire somebody to drive your car for Uber, or if you drive for Uber yourself. When your car puts money back into your pocket, then it becomes an asset. If it takes money out of your pocket, it is a liability. Let's talk about something as like education. Education is a little debatable. People talk about how education is a liability. It's money that's going out of your pocket, right? But education is one of those things that's actually an asset, because it's not actually because what you're doing with education is you are training your mind, and your mind is the asset. Education is not the asset. The product of the education is your asset. The asset is that your mind is now capable of making so much more money. Your mind is now going to train you so that you can put more money into your pocket. So your education is an asset. And a lot of people get so taken aback by these seminars and conferences that people go to and spend a lot of money on these conferences. They think that education ends with school and college. Education does not end with school and college. Your education is just beginning then. Go attend these conferences, networking events, be with like-minded people. That is the education that is going to be your greatest asset. That is the one asset that nobody can snatch away from you no matter what. Nobody can come for those assets. That's all stuck in here. Nobody's going to be able to take that away from you. You want to be able to acquire as much education as possible. And even when you think you've learned it all, you want to learn more and more and more. Trust me, there is more than enough education out there in the world that you will never procure all of it in your entire life. Constantly keep educating yourself. It is very important. which is why we talk about in the money management system, link right over here, which is going to tell you about why it's important to manage your money in a certain way and to put aside certain amount of money for our education and a certain amount of money to buy assets in our financial freedom account. Again, link over here. If you guys haven't seen that video already, please go check it out. Another common liability: credit cards. Credit cards are a liability. Yes, credit cards are a liability when you go and use it for retail, when you use it to buy that new shirt, that new purse, that belt, that new jeans. Yes, these are all liabilities. This is all taking money out of your pocket. Now, what if you use that credit card to purchase a business instead? Let's say you purchase a $15,000 business that's now generating revenue for you on a monthly basis, and that revenue is greater than the amount that you are paying back on that credit card. You have now turned that credit card from a liability to an asset. It's very easy to convert assets into liabilities and liabilities into assets. You have to understand what is important, what you want to do with that particular asset or liability, and move forward accordingly. The next thing that rich people do a little bit differently from other people is they manage their time. Time management is a very important skill. A lot of us lack the management of time. We may be working 2 jobs, you may be working 3 jobs. You end up working 6 days a week, you're working 8, 12, 14. Some people even work 16 hours. Hell, I've done it. When you work 16 hours a day for 6 days a week, that one day that you get to yourself, you're barely recovering before you have to go right back in it and exchange your time for money all over again. So first you need to get out of that exchanging your time for money. You're going to do that by saving up enough money to get financially free. It's all a circle, and you have to be able to go across each level to attain the level of financial freedom that you personally desire. When it comes down to time management, what you might be doing is you may be going 8 hours for work. You may spend an hour in the morning in your morning routine. You may go spend 8 hours at work. You'll come home, unwind for an hour. You'll sit in front of the TV for 4 hours, sleep for 8 hours. Rich people don't do all of these. First of all, rich people have their money working for them, so they do not have to go for 8 hours and work somewhere else. Then they wake up in the morning, they go to the gym, they exercise, they realize that the body is a product of what you put into it. So you have to put in the correct things, you eat the right foods, you give it the right exercise so that it can give you the right output. The brain needs activity too, so you have to do that brain activity. How do you do brain exercises? Brain exercises are something like reading a book, maybe reading the Financial Times, educating yourself, watching educational YouTube videos instead of watching Family Guy or watching entertainment on TV. You want to always be educating yourself, be in the know-how. And then you're looking at business strategies. That's what rich people do at the time. They're looking at different business strategies. How can I improve this business of mine? How can I improve that business of mine? What can I start as a new business? How often are you thinking, what can you start as a new business? Every time you think of something, every time you see something that you feel is not right, how about you just think about how can I make it right? How can I create a business that will fix this problem? That's all that businesses are. They help fix a problem that enough people have and that enough people are willing to pay for to be successful. You can do it too. It's super simple. But this is what rich people spend their time on. They're always strategizing. How can I make my business better? How can I have a new business? They're not worried about going out and drinking and partying and doing this and doing that. Social gatherings for rich people are more about how can I be around like-minded people. These are social gatherings. Not going out to a bar and doing a round of tequila shots. That's not social gathering. The concepts are very different, and you need to understand that different people are going to execute concepts differently. And when you execute a certain concept a certain way, that is the result that you're going to get out of it. So if you'd like to be more like the rich people, start managing your time that way. Start learning the value of time and understanding what you can do with your time. Even if you're working 2 jobs, even if you're working 3 jobs, you're still going to have enough time to educate yourself, to make this grow. Because if this doesn't grow, nothing else grows. Another thing that poor people do that rich people don't do. Have you ever heard, shh, don't talk about money. I don't want to talk about money. Why are you always talking about money? Money is the root of all evil. Money is bad. Rich people are bad. If you have all this money, what are you going to do with it? What if you have all the money in the world and no happiness? Money can't buy happiness for you. Money doesn't grow on trees. You know what people don't want to talk about money? You know the people who are not going to get rich? The people who don't smash that like button. Smash it, smash it. I'm waiting. How many of us have heard this growing up? How many of us have heard all of this growing up? Money doesn't this, money doesn't that, money doesn't this, don't talk about money. These are the negative connotations that we build about money in our head, and we form these negative mind links so that every time we think about money, then our brain trains us to say, no, I don't want to talk about money. Money is not important. But the reality of it is that money is so important and you have so little of it that you don't want to talk about it. That's not what rich people do. Rich people talk about money and talk about money and talk about money and talk more about money. Talk about investments. Talk about what is the stock market looking like? What is this looking like? Oh, my real estate investment grew this much. The real estate market is down today. What is my business doing today? Oh, how is my business sales up from last month? How can I increase my advertising? Always strategizing and thinking about how to make more money. And that's not what poor people are doing. Poor people are thinking about how can I spend the money that I'm already made, instead of thinking how can I take this money and make more money. Rich people spend their money differently. They talk about money differently. Their values about money are different. Even when they talk to their kids, they're telling their kids, they're teaching their kids about money. They're talking to their kids about money. They're saying, this is how much money is coming. This is how we multiply our money. If you look at any kids who have rich parents, there are always going to be people who manage their money, who are very respectful of money. Yes, there are always going to be those people who are obnoxious and just throwing money as well, but that's not the people I'm talking about. Anybody who's smart and is a self-made millionaire, they are going to instill these values in their kids because they realize the importance of money and it didn't happen to them. So if you're somebody who your parents did not talk about money growing up, talk about money with your kids. Start talking more about money with your spouse. It's what's going to help your relationships. It's what's going to help your life. If you don't talk about it, you're not going to attract it. If you don't attract it, you're never going to have it. Start visualizing money. Visualize, do the jar system. Again, the link right up over here if you guys want to check out my money management system. Check out the jar system. Start following it. Put little jars out in your house so your kids can see it, so you can visualize, hey, $5 goes in here, $10 goes in here, financial freedom account, necessities account, give account, education account. Do these things so that you train your mind to think about money differently. Because if you keep going with your pre-existing training that you have about money, you're never going to have any. Let's talk about investments versus expenses. Again, it falls kind of in the same category as assets versus liabilities. But the rich think of investments very differently from what the poor think of investments. The rich think of expenses very differently from what the poor think of expenses. When the poor think of expenses, they are looking at their paycheck. They say, I have $1,000. I've paid off my bills. Now I have only $400 left. How can I spend this $400? I can go out for $100. I can buy this new TV for $300. And now I'm broke till next month. Rich people, on the other hand, they realize the power of compound interest. And you too should realize the power of compound interest. Compound interest is so powerful, especially if I have anybody younger than 20 looking at this video, anybody younger than 30 looking at this video. Those 10 years between 20 and 30 are the most crucial years of your life for investing, for compounding your entire investment and changing it all. It is so important to invest in your 20s, in your 30s. It is so very important. Even if you invest when you're 30 years old. Imagine investing when you're 30 years old. When you are 30 years old, you invest $100 every month until the age of 65. You have invested, let's say, $100 every month. So that's $1,200 a year, $1,200 into 35 years. So you have invested a grand total so far of $42,000. By the time you're 65, at 10% compound interest every year, that $42,000 has grown into a little under $358,000. If you invest at the age of 40, just 10 years later, the same $100, the same $1,200 every year until the age of 65, you have now invested $30,000 and you've only made $129,818. So that means in those 10 years between 30 and 40, that $12,000 that you did not invest lost you a potential $227,934. That's crazy. Now imagine if you started investing at 20. This is what the numbers would look like. Isn't that amazing? Tell me you don't want that kind of money. This is the power of compound interest. So you have to understand the power of compound interest. And that's how you look at expenses differently from investments. So you look at an expense when you're looking at going and buying a new watch. Let's say this watch was about $300. When you go and buying a new watch, look at what $300 today could bring you 25, 30 years from now, 35, 40 years from now, when you're 25. This could be $5,000 when you're 65 by you doing nothing. Instead, you blew it up today at $300. So every time you go out and you spend $100 on drinks and dinner, that could be a potential $1,000 you're spending. You're not spending $100. You're spending $1,000 in the future. You want to be able to have that money in the future, or else you're going to constantly be in this rat race, constantly making money, spending money, making money, spending money, and that's how you remain poor. I was recently at a JT Fox event, and he basically said that if you were born poor, it's not your fault. But if you die poor, that is definitely your fault. And I 100% agree with that. You are in full control of your life and your financial freedom. And if you don't take it by the reins and you don't do something about it, there's nothing that anybody else in the world can do to help you. You have to be able to grab that for yourself. Well, that's all for today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed everything. Again, my name is Kabir. Follow my channel. I talk about a little bit of finances. The first time you're coming on the channel, thanks so much. Hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm for me, please. Hit that subscribe button down low as well. I do have a little Instagram as well. You guys can follow me over there for more content. I post on there all the time. I got an Instagram link right down below over here. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for taking out the time. Happy Sunday.